Listen to the audiobook Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne, Level A2, Oxford Reading University.
Part 1. Phileas Fogg was an English gentleman. He was extremely rich, but nobody knew where his money came from. He lived on a fashionable street in London. Mr. Fogg was a man of regular habits. Every day he got up, had dinner, and went to bed at the same exact hour. He had no wife and no children, only a servant. One day, the servant brought him shaving water that was too cold. Fogg immediately fired him. The following morning, a new servant arrived. His name was Jean Passepartout. He used to have a lot of extremely dangerous jobs. Now Passepartout wanted a quieter life. Fogg liked the man quite a lot. He quickly decided to give him the job. Then he went to a gentleman's club. He couldn't be a minute late. At the club, Fogg usually played cards with other rich men. That day, they were discussing a recent bank robbery. "I don't know how the police are going to find the man," one of them said. "The world is so big, he can be anywhere." "Actually, the world has become much smaller in the past 100 years, Fogg said. His partners looked at him in surprise. "Thanks to modern technology and the means of transportation, you can make a trip around the world in 3 months. 80 days to be exact," Fogg continued. "Perhaps, but if you consider accidents or bad weather," the man said. Fogg didn't let him finish. "I included it in my plan," he explained. "Gentlemen, I am ready to bet £20,000 that such a trip is possible. It is 8:45 p.m. on October 2nd. I will be back here at the exact same time 80 days later. I will show you the stamps in my passport as proof of my journey." Then he signed a £20,000 check and put it on the table. After that, Fogg took his hat and left. At home, Fogg explained to Passepartout his plan to travel around the world in 80 days. He ordered Passepartout to pack 1 bag with 2 shirts and 3 pairs of socks. They had only 10 minutes before leaving. There was no time to lose. Passepartout's dreams of a quieter life could not come true after all. 2. Fogg's bet quickly made it into the papers. Soon he became the talk of the town. There were a lot of rumors about him and his motives. Some people thought that he was connected to the recent bank robbery. "Maybe Fogg has robbed that bank," people suggested. "This is why he is so rich. He went on this trip just to get away." Finally, the police sent Detective Fix to follow Fogg. Fix had to find evidence against him or even arrest him. Meanwhile, Fogg arrived in Suez, Egypt. It took him 6.5 days, and he was exactly on schedule. The next stop on his route was India. Fix followed him on the ship to Bombay. There, the detective managed to talk to Passepartout. He introduced himself as an employer of an English company in India. He asked Passepartout a lot of questions about Fogg, but the servant didn't know much. In Bombay, they only had 4 hours before the train to Calcutta. Fogg went to the consul to get a stamp in his passport. Passepartout went into the city to buy some clothes. As for Fix, he went to the police station. He needed to see if he had the permission to arrest Fogg yet. On his way from the shop, Passepartout saw a beautiful temple. He decided to go in. However, he made a serious mistake. All visitors had to take their shoes off before entering the temple. Passepartout didn't know about that, so he entered with his shoes on. Immediately, 3 priests knocked Passepartout to the ground. Then they took his shoes off and started beating him. Finally, the servant managed to stand up and run off without his shoes. He arrived at the station 5 minutes before the departure of the train. He quickly explained to Fogg what happened to him. Fix was there too. He heard their conversation and thought, now that his servant has committed a crime, I will have more reasons to arrest them. 3. Fogg and Passepartout's troubles didn't end there. In the village of Colby, their train to Calcutta suddenly stopped. All passengers must leave the train here. There are no railway tracks further on, the conductor said. This is impossible. According to the newspapers, the road is finished, Fogg cried. But not everything written in the newspapers was true. However, Fogg wasn't too worried. He was 2 days ahead of schedule anyway. He and Passepartout got off the train and went to the village. They hoped to find a vehicle there. But the rest of the passengers were faster. When Fogg and his servant came to the village, there were no horses or carriages for them to hire. We will go on foot then, Fogg decided. But then he noticed a man with an elephant. After a long argument, the man agreed to sell the elephant for £2,000. With the owner of the elephant as their driver, Fogg and Passepartout continued their journey. Their way lay through many villages. In one of them, Fogg noticed a line of people moving along the road. Several priests carried a dead man's body. A beautiful woman walked behind them. Together they entered the temple. "What is happening?" Fogg asked. This woman's husband died. According to the tradition, she must stay with him even after death, the elephant driver explained. Tomorrow morning, the priests will burn her alive, together with her husband's dead body. "Burn her alive?" Fogg cried. "This is an awful tradition." "Passepartout, we are 12 hours ahead of time. I think we can help this woman, although this may put our lives in danger." The woman's name was Aouda. She was an Englishman's daughter. When her father died, she had to marry an old Indian prince who died 3 months later. "Let's wait until dark and lead the woman out of the temple," Fogg suggested. However, the priests surrounded the temple and didn't go away at night. It was impossible to get in. Then Passepartout came up with an idea. Early in the morning, he made his way to the funeral fire. He lay on top of it instead of the dead man. Soon the priests came and lit the first branch. Then Passepartout jumped up, took Aouda by the hand and walked away. The crowd just stood there quietly and watched him. They believed that the prince was alive again. However, the priests quickly realized that Aouda was trying to run away. They ran after Fogg and his friends, but Fogg's elephant ran faster, and soon they left the angry priests far behind. 4. Finally, the travelers arrived, and Allahabad. There, Fogg paid the Indian man for his service and gave him back his elephant. Aouda agreed to join the men on their travels for some time. She had a cousin in Hong Kong, so Fogg offered to take her there. Together, they boarded a train to Calcutta and soon reached their destination. However, a surprise was waiting for them at the Calcutta train station. Several police officers met them there and took them to jail. Then they were led into a courtroom. 3 Indian priests were already waiting for them there. "Mr. Fogg and Mr. Passepartout, you have committed a crime in a holy place," the judge began. "Yes, I have," Fogg said, "but you should know that these men wanted to burn a woman alive." "Where?" the judge asked, surprised. "Right inside the temple in Bombay?" Fogg gave him a confused look, but then he realized his mistake. The judge is talking about the day when Passepartout walked into the temple with his shoes on. The priest showed Passepartout's shoes, and the poor servant cried out, "Those are mine!" "I wish you could think before speaking," Fogg said. "Now they know that you are certainly guilty." Soon the judge made his decision. Both men were going to prison. One was a criminal, and the other couldn't keep an eye on his servant. But the travelers didn't have any time to lose. Luckily, Fogg knew what to do. He offered to pay £2,000 for their freedom, and the Indian men happily agreed. Money was clearly not an issue for the English gentleman. This whole time, Fix was sitting in the corner and watching the scene. He was very angry. "This criminal is free again. When will I be able to arrest him?" he thought. Fogg, Passepartout, and Aouda boarded their ship to Hong Kong on time. Detective Fix followed them. He was worried. Hong Kong was the last bit of land on their way that was under the control of English law. Fix couldn't arrest Fogg in a country where the English law had no power. He needed someone to help him catch Fogg. So, he decided to gain Passepartout's trust. The ship made a stop in Singapore. Although it was rather unusual for him, Phileas Fogg decided to get off and take a ride around the city with Aouda. It was a chance for Fix to talk to Passepartout in private. He found the servant walking on the front deck. Passepartout was surprised to see him. "Last time we met, you told me that you had business in Bombay, and now we meet in Singapore," he said with a laugh. Well, Fix began. He didn't know what to answer. "Anyway, do you believe in this trip around the world in 80 days? "Of course I do," Passepartout replied. "Don't you?" "No, not at all," Fix responded. "Don't you think Phileas Fogg has something to hide?" "I don't understand what you are talking about," Passepartout said coldly. The detective became worried. He said goodbye and returned to his room. "I must be careful," he thought with fear. "What if Passepartout understands that I am actually a detective?" 5. On the way to Hong Kong, the traveler's ship got into an awful storm. Because of it, Fogg arrived in Hong Kong a day later than planned. Passepartout was very worried. Ships to Yokohama only sailed once a week. They always came and left on time. According to the traveler's schedule, their ship was supposed to leave the day before. Was their bet lost? However, Fogg was lucky. The ship, the Carnatic, was still in the port. It was under repair. Although Fogg was 24 hours behind schedule, he was full of hope. Perhaps he could catch up with it later. He had some time before the ship was ready, so he went to search for Aouda's cousin. It turned out that he lived in Europe now. "What should I do now?" Aouda asked. "I don't want to cause you any difficulties." "You can stay with us, and we will take you to Europe," Fogg suggested. "You aren't causing us any problems at all." Everyone seemed happy with this turn of events, especially Passepartout. He liked the young woman because she was nice to him. Passepartout went to get the tickets for the ship to Yokohama. He learned from the ticket seller that the Carnatic was going to sail in the evening and not the next morning. Fix followed him and invited him to a bar for a drink. There the detective waited for Passepartout to drink enough wine. Then he asked, "Will you help me? I need your master to stay here for 2 more days. I will give you 2,000 pounds if you agree." "Are you working together with a gentleman from the club?" Passepartout cried. "Shame on you all! Did they send you to prevent Mr. Fogg from winning the bet?" "My God, no! Mr. Fogg isn't what he seems," Fix replied in an angry voice. "He has stolen 55,000 pounds from a bank. I am a detective. I need to arrest him. His bet is just a way for him to run off with the money." "I don't believe you," Passepartout said. "I won't do anything against my master. Now I need to run and tell him that the ship is sailing today." Passepartout tried to stand up, but he was too drunk. He fell to the floor and was asleep immediately. The next morning, Fogg didn't find Passepartout at the hotel or in the port. Moreover, when he arrived at the port, he learned that the Carnatic wasn't there anymore. He had no ship and no servant, but he didn't lose hope. He walked around the port and talked to different people. Finally, he found a ship captain who was going to sail to Shanghai in an hour. It turned out that a steamer was going to sail to Yokohama from there in several days. The captain agreed to take Fogg on board. The whole time, Fix was following Fogg and Aouda. Fogg noticed him and asked, "Did you also miss the ship to Japan? I think you can join us on board the ship to Shanghai." Fix agreed. "If I act like his friend, I will manage to get close to him," he thought. "When the time is right, I will arrest him." An hour before the ship sailed, Fogg went to the police station. He asked about Passepartout, but nobody knew where he was. So the ship to Shanghai left without him. 6. Just as the steamer to Yokohama was leaving the Shanghai port, Fogg's ship came close to it. He persuaded the captain to lower the sails and fire a cannon. It meant that the ship needed help. They caught the steamer's attention, and Fogg, Fix, and Aouda were taken aboard. Meanwhile, Passepartout woke up aboard the Carnatic.
Stay with us for part 2.
Support our channel by liking this video. Together we can keep making free content for English learners around the world. And now here's another video to help you improve your English.